Yes, namaste all. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for today's session. On behalf of DAV DGS, it's a great honor and privilege to address you all on this particular day. So now with this, let us move on to the session. Actually, there is a proverb that says that good teachers know how to bring out the best in students. So as a good teacher, we should know how to bring out the great skills from the students, right? We have to enhance them and by teaching them, right? So with this particular introduction, see, we have this particular session for about 10 days. The first session, I'll be addressing you with regard to enhancement of teaching prose. The second session, day 2, we have the enhancement of teaching poetry. Day 3, of course, teaching grammar. And session 4 will be targeting the learning objectives and lesson plan, notes of lesson. And session 5 will be all about assessment. And Sunaina ma'am will be taking her sessions. She will be focusing on LSRW skills. And of course, Usha Ravi ma'am also will be dealing with one session of, she'll be targeting the grammar part for the young learners. And here I have a small presentation. Let me share this with you. Share screen. Teachers, are you able to see this? Can you see this presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So this particular online training program focuses on empowering the teachers. As a teacher of CBSE school, we are supposed to undergo some hours of COE sessions as well. I think you all know about that. Apart from that, to enhance ourselves, our teaching skills, we have to undergo this type of some sort of training. And it is also like sharing, we can say, sharing our knowledge or experience, whatever knowledge you have, whatever experience that you have, definitely you can put it across here so that others also will tend to know about it, and they can also incorporate that particular your skill, your experience in their classrooms as well. And here, empowered teachers have the potential to move mountains. So, and the key proposals on few NEP 2020, that this YouTube, I will just share it with you, this particular video. It will help you to know more about NEP. Teachers, are you able to see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Presentation we are able to.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
YouTube we will not be able to see, ma'am.
See this.
You have to-
Okay. Okay, I have to share this thing. Okay, I will share this. 1 minute. Teachers, can you see this YouTube presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
able to see?
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
teachers. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Namaste, Mallika ma'am.
Namaste, ma'am.
Proceed.
Namaste, ma'am.
Priyadarshini ma'am, is there any problem?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are you just sharing with them? Have you asked them to observe or something
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Shall I continue with this, ma'am, Mallika ma'am, or shall I continue with my presentation?
This is your presentation, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is a part of my presentation.
Okay, okay. Please continue.
Thank you. See, the main purpose is you should all know about the basic foundation structure here, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, this one, right? As a CBSE school teacher, many of them, those who are seeking admissions in the school, they might ask you about this particular thing, then you teachers can guide the parents also. Namaste teachers, few questions will be asked from this particular slide in your question paper. Okay, so just kindly go through this particular video.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Is there any audio along with this? Because we are not able to hear anything. Only the screen is shown actually.
Okay, wait a minute, ma'am. Let me check.
That's what even I was wondering.
Okay, sorry, ma'am.
That's what I wanted to check with you. I was checking with you.
Okay, share.
Is it silently you wanted them to observe and
no, ma'am. No. Wait a
because
minute.
absolutely there was no audio.
Okay. I didn't select the share sound. Sorry. Now can you hear?
No.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
And a bachelor's degree for 3 years as well as 4-year course. As per the new policy, the undergraduate degree program will be credit based.
Could you please play it from first, ma'am?
First, ma'am, so that it will be easy for us.
Okay.
It'll be easy for us to go
Education
with.
Policy
Yes, ma'am.
2020.
Yes, ma'am.
On July 29th,
Okay.
the
They can
Union
also
Cabinet
watch this
approved
later also, no? Like
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I can share the link in fact. Okay.
yeah.
First 5 minutes, I'll play the video here, teachers. Then I will share this link with you in the group. Whenever you are free, you can just watch this. Thank you, teachers.
new national education policy after a 34-year gap. Previously, it was known as National Policy on Education, NPE, which was approved 34 years ago in 1986. It got further modified in 1992. The main focus of the 1986 policy was regarding access and equity of education. Access means the availability of education, and equity means fairness, because there are people who are more disadvantaged than others when it comes to having access to education. We have indeed come a long way since 1986. However, education. Previously, it was just about having access to education, but today it is about quality education. The only major improvement since the last policy of 1986 has been the Right of Children for Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, or Right to Education Act, which was an Act of Parliament of India enacted on 4th August 2009. The main purpose of the NEP is to design a vision and framework for both school education and higher education in India. Let's look at some of the key proposals of the new education policy of 2020. The NEP proposes to change the school's academic structure. If you all know, in India, the academic structure looks something like this. You had to do 10 plus 2 years of schooling. Now it has been restructured in 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 form, where the first 3 years are your preschool, which consists of KG, LKG and UKG. After preschool, when you go to first class and thereafter second class, together these 5 years are going to be your foundation for your education. After that 3 years, that is from class 3 to 5, will be part of your preparatory or primary schooling. Followed by another 3 years, that is from class 6 to 8, that will be your middle schooling. And finally, 4 years, that is from class.
So here we are focusing on the quality education for the children, those who are in the primary school. Okay, that is why we are here to share our own experiences, to share our our own skills and all, to enhance our skills, teaching skills, and also to share our experience with the other teachers. That is why we have formed the group here. We are sharing everything here. And whatever experience you have, whatever new experiences that you have from your side, you can share it here during the meeting or even in the WhatsApp group, so that it will be useful for the other teachers as well. They can also incorporate their experiences here with the children. So thereby, ultimately, we are enhancing the learning skills of the children here in the primary classes. So I'll be sharing this particular link in the group. Later, you can watch this particular video. 1 or 2 questions will be given from this thing in the question paper, right? Thank you, teachers. I'll stop sharing this. Let me move on to my PowerPoint presentation. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So according to NEP focuses on quality, competence, and character. Okay. And school teachers, we are supposed to undergo 50 hours of COE sessions and innovative teaching methods to be adopted by the teachers to improve the learning outcomes that will be recognized, that can be documented, and it can be shared also. Whenever we have a meeting like this, you can share it also. So ultimately, we are supposed to become an expert as well in the field of education. So self-introduction is over, and today we are going to look into the teaching process of, teaching prose, how to enhance teaching prose. First and foremost, we have to tell our children, primary kids, the difference between the prose and poetry. This you can tell them even from class 1 also. What is the meaning of prose? What is the meaning of poetry? And you tell them what is this book called? This is called as the Gulmohar book. I think most of you are following this particular reader. Am I right, teachers?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Kavita ma'am. Yes, Gulmohar
Yes,
reader.
ma'am.
And for
Ma'am.
grammar, I think we teachers, we are following this book. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Viva publication.
Viva publications. So whenever, before you begin with, you tell the children, okay, especially with classes 1 and 2, you tell them this is a literature reader. We have prose lessons, we have poetry, we have poems. So, and you tell them the difference between the prose and poetry as well. Okay, so you tell them the prose lessons will be written in sentences. They are grouped into paragraphs, and you have more of language there. And here language is more natural, it is grammatical, and the writer doesn't have any word limit. It will be in the form of a story, it will be in the form of an essay, it will be in the form of a biography, it will be in the form of a play, short play, like that you can tell them. So that whenever you tell them that I am going to teach you a lesson, the children will be taking that particular lesson. They know to identify what is a lesson, what is a poem as well, right? And you also tell them what is a poetry. It has limited number of words. They are written in lines. They are grouped into stanzas. You tell them what is the difference between a paragraph, what is a stanza. So all these things, a small introduction you can give them before you start teaching them. And you tell them this is called as a literature book and this is the grammar book. Even class 4 child also, he may tend to get confused. If you tell them grammar book, he might take the Gulmohar also. So time and again, you keep on telling them, this is called as a literature book and this is a grammar book. Prokshini ma'am, please mute yourself. Okay. So before you begin with, before you teach them, so you should have a good planning, isn't it? So an hour of planning can save definitely 10 hours of doing. To present this for you, nearly it took me 3 to 4 days to make this PPT presentations, to collect the information, and to make the pre-reading materials as well. So to deliver it to the children, in fact, we also need a lot of planning, isn't it? So an hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing. So first thing is you be prepared, be familiar with the topic. And you should know when you're teaching a lesson, especially when you deal with a small, when you're going to teach a lesson, you should know about the characters in that particular lesson, in that particular story. And note down the objectives. And you can also write the objectives on the board as well. See, 1 or 2 objectives, not all. We won't find time. But then what are the major objectives there? What we are going to try to teach them? Are you going to teach them values that particular day with that particular story? Or are you going to teach them new words for them? So what are the objectives that you're going to do? You please write it on the board. And choose one character from the story. Before you begin with, choose one character from the story. And you can relate it with yourself. Relate it with an anecdote. Suppose if you're going to talk about a grandmother, you can talk about your own grandmother, isn't it? Some small anecdote with the children. So that will create some curiosity in them. So definitely they will start listening to you. They'll be so curious to know what is there for that particular child from that particular lesson also. So this is for the other subject teachers. When I ask you to introduce yourself, many of them, they said that you are the mother teacher, you are teaching all subjects, even EVS teachers are here, I think so, right? Those who are teaching EVS as well as Max, mother teachers, and one particular teacher said, Muthulakshmi ma'am said she is teaching all subjects, English, Max, EVS, Tamil and all. So this particular slide is for the teachers who are teaching all the subjects. See, the teaching of prose includes 2 types of lessons. One is intensive and extensive. See, nowadays we are not using non-detailed reader, but in fact, in few schools, they are having a small non-detailed reader also. So detailed prose. In detailed prose lessons, the textbook is read thoroughly, word by word, word by word. And we have to teach the children like that. Students are required to read it not only for comprehension, but also for learning the new words, learning the structure, learning the vocabulary. And in case of non-detail, it gives some sort of information for the children. They are required to grasp the meaning of the new words according to the situation. You need not teach them word by word in that case. Okay, they will learn the meaning. They can grasp the meaning from that particular context itself. So that is the difference between a prose and a non-detailed text. So here, before you begin, before you teach, you should have certain learning objectives, I said. Am I right? Teachers, can you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, teachers. Here, general aims of teaching a prose. What could be the main aims of teaching a prose? Being an English teacher, being a language teacher, you all know, isn't it? First aim, to enable the students to comprehend, to understand the passage and grasp its meaning. That will be the main thing, right? And secondly, to enrich their vocabulary. Then to use the new words appropriately, whatever new words they have learned from this particular lesson. Time and again, you tell them to use it whenever they talk, whenever they write. Even they can use the new words while writing a paragraph, while writing a letter, while writing an essay, isn't it? So you can tell them to use it. And while they talk also with their friends, with the teachers, they can use the new words. You can make them to use an unfamiliar word. No, you can write it on the board, that particular new word on the board, one new word on the board, and make them to use it every day. That also you can incorporate that. To enjoy reading and writing. This is another objective to teach a prose, right? To enjoy reading and writing. They should be able to read fluently, whatever they learn. To develop their imagination, in case of poetry and all, to develop their imagination. That is one of the main objective. To read with correct pronunciation. This is what we focus on as an English teacher, right? We read them, we read the passage, the children will be listening and they will be repeating after us, right? With proper intonation, with proper pause, and wherever the dialogues are there, you teach them how to read the dialogue, how to read the sentence, where to make a pause. When a comma is there, how to read. With an open quotation marks is there, how to read. So all these things we have to teach them. They're all small children, right? So we are giving them the basic foundation for them. So we have to read it with correct pronunciation. Even we teachers, we may have a lot of doubts with the pronunciation. So we can refer the Google and we can refer the audio clippings, whatever has been provided by the company, by the publishers. Nowadays, they give a lot of audio clippings for us. And we can even browse through the internet and we can teach them with the correct pronunciation. If we have doubt, always we have so many sources for us to check. Before starting with the class, we have to be familiar with the words, with the intonation, with pause, how to teach them. We should enhance ourselves with that. And to enable students to understand the passage by silent reading. That is also very, very important. Loud reading we have, silent reading we have. So the children should be able to read silently and they should be able to comprehend. When it comes to comprehension passages, see, there we are not going to teach them, right? When we are giving a question paper to class 1 child, class 2 or class 3 child, the child should be able to read the passage by himself and he should be able to understand what it is given there. And he should be able to answer the questions given for that particular passage, right? To express the ideas of the passage orally and in writing form as well. So the child should be able to express his ideas, what is given there. He should be able to comprehend. When any general questions are given, with value-based questions are given, he should be able to relate it, what he has learned, and he should be able to give out the answers on his own as well. Specific aims include to learn a few facts through the story. Few facts will be given. If it is a scientific passage about whales, in grade 3 lesson we have about sharks. So something like few facts he'll be learning. If it is about a bird, if it is about a dog, if it is about an animal. So we tend to give them lot of facts to the child, right? To learn values, this is very, 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 very important. Here in DAV, we focus more on value-based learning. For each and every lesson, we have to teach them values. Even for poems, we have to teach them values. When you're talking about tenses and grammar, teach them the value of time. That is very, very important. To mold one's character. See, ultimate aim is to mold them with, they have to have a good character in life, right? That is ultimate aim of teaching them in the primary level as well as in the high school level as well. Specific aims include, see, different types of prose lessons are descriptive. So to develop the students' imagination and love for natural objects, and to acquaint the students with the writer's style of writing, genre, we can tell them, this is the style, these are the things that we had in, before. And about the writer's style also, you can tell them what is the style he has adopted. Maybe classes 1, 2, and 3, the children cannot understand. Maybe for class 5 children, you can tell them the writer's style, definitely. Of course, about the story, you can tell. To give certain facts and lessons through the story. As I told you before, if it is about a particular shark or giraffe or something like that, you can tell them extra facts about that particular animal or character. To shape the student's character, these are the specific aims, and to develop interest for story reading again. See, when you're talking about a particular author, see, in case of class 3, I think I have told you before, like Heidi in the City, Johanna Spyri. So about Ruskin Bond, the Storm at Night Ruskin Bond. You can even develop an interest for them to read lot of stories written by Ruskin Bond. After you teach that particular lesson, you can tell them to have some extra reading about that particular author. You can also guide them what stories they can read, because as a small child, he doesn't know what stories to read. 1 or 2 lessons or 1 or 2 stories you can tell them. So the child will be able to refer, or he can borrow books from the library, or he can even Google through the thing and he can download it and he can read. And if it is an essay, to acquaint them with the style of essay writing. When it comes to class 5, if the prose lesson, it caters to essay means, then you can tell them this is how you are supposed to write. If it is a play, to make them speak conversational English, how to communicate, to encourage the students to play different roles. You can have dramatization, you can have role play to build their character. So these are the specific aims to get students acquainted with the life and deeds of great men. If you're going to have a biography, to inculcate in them the desirable sentiments and ambitions, and to show them the path of the character as well. So these are the general teaching methodology. I think you all are following it. This is something like recapitulation, like what we are doing it. We are just discussing it here, that's all. Procedure of teaching prose lessons involves the following steps: preparation, presentation, recapitulation, home assignment. Teachers, do you have anything else to include in this? I just wanted to know. General teaching methodology. Can you hear me, teachers?
Activities.
Activities, art integrated activities. Anything else?
Games, ma'am.
Games, very good. Anything else? Okay, thank you. So introduction is very, very important, right? See here, the introduction is the important part to make the students ready to learn and start the lesson. So as it is believed that well begun is half done, the introduction has got two purposes: to bring out the previous knowledge and to link the previous knowledge with the new knowledge. That is what happens in case of EBS lessons as well, right? Here in English, of course, we can't have, maybe they'll be familiar with the words already they have learned and they can link it here. And also the story or the values that you have learned, they can link it here. Introduction can be done in two different ways, It depends upon it. It is left to the discretion of the teachers. Like the teacher may start by asking some questions to them. Here, generally, what I suggest is for the primary children, you ask many questions. Let them come out with answers. Okay, so they will come out with answers so that it becomes easier for you to continue with your lessons. So ask questions. You make a note of the questions. You can write down the questions. 2-3 questions for the introduction. You can write and ask the children to test the previous knowledge. And then you can link it to the topic. The teacher may attract the students' attention by showing pictures also. Some teachers, they are familiar. They can take a printout of it. You can show the pictures when you're talking about animals and all. You can show the pictures. You can start. You can give a small introduction about it. You can show the chart. You can show the models to make that. Yeah, puppets also. Yes. Some teachers are very good in making puppets. You can even show the puppets also, to arouse their curiosity, especially for classes 1 and 2. You can show the puppets. In the event of continuing with the lesson, the teacher can ask the questions on the portion of the lesson already taught. You can even start with the revision part also, whatever you have taught the previous day. You can start with that and then you can start with a new lesson also. So the presentation is the main part of the lesson plan, right? So you can divide the presentation into many units. If it is a big lesson, in one period, you cannot complete it, definitely. You can divide it into parts and you can divide it into days also. 2-3 days, you can complete it. If it is going to be a big lesson, you can divide it and you can deliver it. So reading aloud, first and foremost is as a language teacher, as an English teacher, we have to read aloud. Then only the children will be grasping, right? How to pronounce it, how to read it. They will be just looking at us, right? The way we read and all, it matters a lot. So reading aloud by the teachers encouraged. Okay, the first and foremost thing is you read aloud. Then read aloud by the teacher is called as a model reading. The teacher reads aloud the selected passage with proper pronunciation, stress, intonation, and pause. See, when you're reading the poems or the literary passage, you can also listen to the audio clippings given by the publisher. You just go through that once or twice for the proper pronunciation, and then you read it to the class. so that you will also become very much familiar with the pronunciation, so that the children will not go wrong with the pronunciation at all. Or in case you can also play that audio to the children. You make them to listen. Let them listen. 1 or 2 times you play that audio clippings. Let them listen. Then you can read out, you can read it aloud to the children. The speed of reading should be normal and audible to the entire class. So make it normal. Don't be too fast, don't be too slow. So let it be normal and it should be audible to the entire class. And we should always keep an eye contact with the students when we are reading aloud to see whether the children are following our reading part, right? So you can go around the class. Slowly you can do this, right? When you're reading a paragraph, you just go around the class. You check whether the child is keeping that particular page. And you can ask him to keep his index finger on that particular paragraph and make him to read. And you can test them in between, you ask the child to read it. Now, is it possible do you have the reader with you, teachers? A small activity I would like to have. Do you have your readers with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So can we have this activity tomorrow? Just you can choose any passage from your reader, okay, that you teach with the dialogues. Probably if you have, no, you can just read it out tomorrow. Thank you. And this particular activity, you can give it as an art integrated activity also for the children. You can ask them to choose a lesson, make them to read after you teach, I'm telling. After you teach them how to read that lesson, you make them to read and you can make them to record it also. If you're using online classes or if you have any Google Classrooms, no, you can ask them to share that particular video or that audio clipping there. You can give it as a project as well, so that you can check whenever you find time, you can check with the reading part. Or in the class also, you can make them to read. In case if you don't find time to listen to the reading, you can ask them to always post it in the Google Classroom. Then pronunciation drill. This is very, very important for us. Pronunciation drill should precede reading aloud. The words should be selected on the basis of the pronunciation skills of the class. And the selected words can be written on the board. See, you can't go for too many words at a time. The selected words, 2 to 3 to 5 words in that from that particular lesson, you can choose and you can write it on the board, and you can do it loud reading, you can do, and make the children to repeat also. So the words can be selected in this particular way, like difficult to pronounce by the students and commonly mispronounced by the students. Those type of words you can take, and that which contains a silent letter. Okay, those words you can write it on the board, not all the familiar words. Those where they tend to make mistakes often, those type of words you can choose and you can write it on the board. You can give them lot of pronunciation drill practice to the children. Or you can make a chart of it also, and you can permanently display it in the class. So whenever you are free, whenever the children are free, you make them to stand near the chart and make them to read those words, so that the children, they won't make mistakes. Even while writing also, they won't make mistakes at all. So the teacher asks some students to read the passage aloud one by one, and loud reading by the students is also called as imitation reading, as they try to imitate the teacher's pronunciation. See, so it is, we should not make mistakes at all. So if we tend to make mistake, the same thing only the child also will tend to make, right? So we should be very careful in pronunciation part. And exposition of new words or phrases. The teacher selects the new words and phrases from the passage and explain their meanings while teaching. These methodology is while teaching, I'm telling. While teaching the prose lesson to the children, you select the new words, you select the phrases from the passage and explain their meanings and ask them to frame sentences for those words. If it is a new word, if it is a difficult word, you give one example and ask the child to frame sentences on his own. Okay, so that the child will become familiar with the new word, with the new phrases. Especially with phrases, you choose phrases more than words. No, words at least they have the meanings there, they will learn. You choose phrases so that the child will tend to learn how to use the phrase in communication, right? While talking with the friends, while talking with the teacher, how to frame a sentence with that particular phrase, they will learn. And by showing the object, see, the teacher can adopt different methods for explaining the meanings. You can show the model, you can show the picture, you can show the chart. If it is an online teaching, definitely we are showing the pictures for them. We are showing them the movies. So by using the word in a sentence also. So when they find it very difficult to understand the meaning, you use them in sentences so that the child will become familiar with the words. By giving the synonym, by giving the antonym, again. If for small children, no, for classes 1 and 2, you can draw the picture also on the board so that they can easily understand the meaning of that word. By showing the action, see, for all the action words, no, while teaching tenses, especially while teaching ing words, no, for classes 1 and 2, you show them lots of action and gestures. And by translating the word in mother tongue, only like minimal use, okay, if necessary, use the mother tongue, otherwise don't use. I need to go to the next slide. Now, silent reading. The children should be familiar with the silent reading as well. So after expression of new words, phrases and all, the teacher should ask the student to read the passage silently. So definitely it will take for you to teach one particular lesson at least 3 to 5 days, 5 periods you need. So make them to do silent reading. That is very important. They should be able to read it silently. They should be able to grasp the meaning, understand. They should be able to understand the new words, phrases, everything. And this helps them with rapid reading, learning of new words, and quick grasp of meaning. This will help them a lot, especially when they are doing the comprehension passages in the exams. So train them with silent reading. That is very, very important. That will help them a lot to read the question paper, to answer the question paper in the exams. And the teacher should supervise the class while students are reading. You can have even reading class separately. Once in a week, you can have a reading class. Give them reading cards. Reading cards are available in the market. If you think your class is very, they are very slow in reading, you can guide them with the reading cards. You can always ask the management to get you some reading cards for that particular class. You can give it to them. You can make them to do silent reading. This will help them to improve their comprehension skills. And adequate time should be always given to complete the reading of the passage or the prose lessons as well. So focus on values. This is very, very, very important. Whenever you teach any new lesson, focus on values. Value-based education. We focus on value-based education here in DAV. Okay, so this is very, very important. Focusing on values. Appreciating the text. Okay, especially see, this is a sample I have taken from class 2 reader. This is a story about a grandfather and a grandson. Each of them, both of them are helping each other in their gardening work. Okay, so it shows the best way to teach children is to do things with them. So benefits of being with grandparents, how to share, how to help others, what are the benefits of gardening, what are the benefits of growing plants, being kind with animals, being kind with birds, being kind with insects around us, even connect with the real life situations. So how you can link with that lesson, no? What are the values that you can link with the lesson? That you have to plan. As a teacher, you have to plan. And also ask few questions based on values in your question paper. It can be any general question. No, for classes 1 and 2, it can be a multiple choice questions also. You can give the options for them so that it becomes easy for them to relate it with the lesson and to answer the questions also. Shall I move on to the next slide, teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So make students think in English. Okay, even though it is a second language for us, but now it has become, we are using English for communicative purposes. So allow students to think in English. Make it a rule in the class. As if you are a class teacher, if you are a subject teacher, no, you tell them in your class, they must talk in English. And exhort them to think in English. It is a very difficult task, but then as an English teacher, we have to insist this. No other way. Otherwise, they will not learn that language. No, even if it is the same for Hindi teacher, for Sanskrit teacher, for any other language teacher, right? So this is a language they are learning. So make it compulsory to make them to talk in English with you, with your with the other children as well in your presence. And you can just appreciate them. You can just encourage them, or you can reward them also. The best students in the class who talks in English, no? You can encourage them by giving them some rewards. And comprehension questions. After the silent reading, what you can do is some questions based on the passage can be asked. This is to test whether they have understood the lesson, the prose lesson. So by asking meaning of new words, you can ask, or by asking short questions or value-based questions, or you can ask to frame the sentence using the phrases or words. So in this way, you will very well know whether the child has understood the concept or not, understood the lesson or not. And you can have a small test also, class test. For 5 to 10 minutes, you can have questions. You can give it in the form of fill in the blanks, match the following, complete the lines, or choose the correct answer for classes 1 and 2. And project work you can give based on that lesson, no? Project work can be given based on the lesson. That also it is a way of testing whether the child has really understood the lesson or not. So now this is a sample lesson I have taken from class 2, Grandpa Farouk's Garden. Here, this particular lesson, this from this Gulmohar reader I have taken, okay? I think you all have this copy with you. Class 2 teachers especially, you have this copy with you. This is a small lesson about Grandpa and Amir's love for the garden. They all show their love for each other. The child is also helping his grandfather. Grandfather is also helping the grandson. So whenever Grandpa is unhappy, no, Amir tries his best to make him happy. So this is the main content of the particular lesson. So the learning outcomes you can write like this. By the end of the lesson, the students will be able to describe the relationship between a grandfather and a grandson. Before you begin the lesson, no, you can ask many questions about grandfather, grandson, grandmother, no? What are the benefits of having grandfather and grandmother in their house, no? Like that, things like that, you can ask them. You can pose questions related to that. And the learning outcomes should be note the things that they did together. What are the things they both are doing it together? And infer the grandson's concern for his grandfather. How the grandson, no, he is helping his grandfather. So you tell them, you inculcate this habit in the children also. You tell the students that they have to help their grandparents at home. If they ask for water, they should bring it, no, they should fetch water for them. They have to help them always. And they have to take down information about pests and ladybirds also. So small, it is a very small lesson, but then these things you have to take care of, about the pest, about the ladybirds, you can talk about, no? So many things about this. And note how to get and care of ladybirds also, how to take care of it. And pre-reading can be done to create curiosity also. See, if you have a garden, what you would like to grow, with whom would you like to take care of your garden? How and what do you think Amir does in his Grandpa Farouk's garden? Like this, if you keep on posing questions, no, that will definitely create curiosity in the child, and the child will tend to listen to you. Definitely, even the very naughtiest ones also they will start listening to you. The way we introduce the topic is more important. No, if we develop create the curiosity, no, definitely the children will listen to us in the class. You will just click on this link, see if you can see this. Teachers, can you see the screen?
No, ma'am.
Not it shared, ma'am.
Now
Yes.
can you see? Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the learning outcomes,
Now.
and see, you can even play the audio from the books it is given to you, or if you don't have the facility to play the audio in your case, you can record it on your own, no? Your own voice, you can record it and you can play it in the speaker as well. So that the children can listen to your voice, right? They can listen to your pronunciation, how you pronounce the words, how you're reading, and they will be able to grasp the meaning, grasp the pronunciation, everything. So read the text and ask questions in between you ask questions. You stop, you make a pause there, and then you pose questions. Or if you have the teacher's handout with you, no, that also you carry it with you. Ready-made questions are there in that. So you can ask questions from that also. That will help them to listen to you while teaching. No, you ask so many questions, ask students. Then after you complete the lesson also, post reading. Which adult in your family is your best friend? Like this, some general questions for discussion, you can have it with you. Here only few questions are given here in the teacher's copy. You can frame your own questions and ask them. What do the two of you do together? Okay, see, your best friend you're asking, right? What do you do together? What have you learned from the elder? What would you like to, what do you like to do to please him or please her? Like that type of questions where the child has to think and answer, no? That type of questions you ask. At least 2 or 3 questions, not so many questions. Don't confuse the children, because if we tell the teachers to ask again, the teachers will be concentrating. No, it becomes like that. So they will be asking too many questions, and ultimately you should not confuse the child. 1 or 2 questions you can ask. General questions, you can have some discussion in the class. And then appreciating the text. This is very, very important, where you have to have the character sketch. No, that is how the child can learn to write the character sketch of the characters in the lessons. So from class 1, you can train them. What is the story about? It is about grandfather and grandson. How is the grandson? He is very helpful, isn't it? He enjoys his time. He spends with his grandfather. And then Grandpa Farooq, the character sketch of Grandpa, you can tell. He enjoys the time to spend with his grandson. He teaches him why the garden is dying. He takes care of the plants. Like that you can tell. And Amir, about the grandson, the character sketch of grandson, you can say. He loves spending time with his grandfather. And he also learns about plants so much. And he also takes the trouble to collect the ladybirds. And he is also feeding the ladybirds, right? Makes his grandpa happy by saving his garden. So all these things you can talk about the qualities of the characters, no? So indirectly, we are telling them, we are focusing on the values. So talk more about the character and ask the children. They will come out with so many answers. Okay, let me go to my presentation. If there's any doubt in this, do you have anything else to share? Okay. So methodology, as I told you earlier, post questions, show them pictures. If you have the facility of showing them the animations, no, that you can do it. Animations about the text, always publishers are providing us with a lot of animations that you can show. For few lessons, we don't have animations at all. For poems and all, for the cuckoo bird, something like that, no, about the sharks and all, we don't have animations. So there you can take it from the net or from the YouTube, and you can show them a lot of animations about that, so that the children will show some interest in learning about that particular lesson. And always have a small introduction about the author with the picture. Ruskin Bond, who is Ruskin Bond? Okay, about the author. What types of stories he has written? He has written about children only, no, mostly for the children. So you can give few examples. For 3rd level means you tell them this type of storybooks you read. For class 4, you can guide them. So what type of storybooks about Ruskin Bond you can read. So like that, you can give a small introduction about the author with the picture. That will help them to read, to have some extra reading. That is also very, very important. Other works about the author to be recommended for extended reading. This I keep it in mind. I always tell my children to do extended reading. And you can have a small class library also. If you want to develop some reading skills for the children in your class, you can always have some class library with you. For that particular class, now you tell them to bring some old storybooks, what they have already read, no, so that particular storybook can be read by the other child in the class. You can have you can maintain a small library of 20 to 30 books in your cupboard, and you can have one particular reading time in a week. In your English period also, you can have, say, about 40 minutes or 30 minutes. You can give one storybook for the child. You can make him to read and ask him to tell the story about it. Definitely, it will help them to have a good reading habit. And discuss about the topic. Okay, when you're teaching the lesson, discuss about the topic. You create curiosity in them, play the audio, play the animation, play the PowerPoint slide that you have created. or you create one and do it for the children. Read the text, loud reading, understanding the text, divide the text, explain the lesson in detail, and explain the meanings of the words, phrases, and all while reading. And character sketch, as I told you, character sketch is very, very, very important. Imagine yourself. Ask them to imagine so that they will imagine, they will think about, okay, they will imagine themselves about as one of the character and they will start answering it. So kindle their imagination skills, 2 or 3 sentences about the character, discuss or ask questions about it. And appreciating the text. This is also very important for an English reader. Message of the story to be told. And focus on LSRW skills. Okay, listening, speaking, reading, and writing wherever applicable. In the books like this one, Gulmohar, we have always, no? It is an integrated approach we have. We tend them to listen to us. We can even give some general topics. Once the lesson is over, no, you talk about the giraffes, you talk about this animal, about any animal. You can give them a short show and tell, something like that based on the particular topic you can do. And integrate grammar wherever possible. See, if you find ing words in the lesson, no, you can focus on that particular grammar, present continuous tense. There you can integrate the grammar after you teach, right? Integrated exercises can be given always. Book back exercises must be discussed. Whatever book back exercises we have, you discuss it with the children. Make them to read, make them to write. That is very, very important. After you teach, these things you have to take care of. Meanings, you make them to read aloud. Meanings are given there in the reader, in the pages. Make them to read the words, make them to read the meanings. And you also test them. Once in a while, no, you tell them to close their books. You ask the words, you ask them to tell the meaning of that particular word and ask them to frame sentences. Whenever during the break time, during the lunch time, no, you tell them, you ask them to frame sentences and no, allow them just for 5 minutes. They will come to you and they will discuss about it. And loud reading is a must, of course. That you can take it for testing. Loud reading for 5 marks for all the PT1, PT2, PT3, term 1 and term 2. No, you can have this. You can give marks. You can assign marks for loud reading. Gather all information about words. And reading drill is very, very must for primary classes. You read. You make them to repeat after you. And make them to read also. So reading drill is a must for classes 1 to 5, of course. Even for classes 5 also, you read, you make them to repeat. Children, so that children will become familiar with the words, new words, pronunciation, especially even for class 5 also you do this. Whether you teach class 1 or whether you teach class 5, reading drill is a must for the primary classes. They should be familiar with all the words. Thus, the steps for teaching of prose include introducing, dividing the lesson, model reading, silent reading, loud reading, teaching vocabulary, pronunciation, reading drill, giving assignment. Assignment can be in the form of project also. That I will tell you what type of projects you can give, what type of activities you can give. That we will discuss now. Okay. Testing comprehension. Like as I told you, one passage, one paragraph. While reading also, you can ask them. One question from that passage, you can ask them. Who is this? What is he going to do? What he did? What you like the most? Something like that, related with that particular passage, you can ask questions. And testing application and values. Of course. Value-based questions should be there. Now, this teaching aids, I think I have sent a pre-reading material based on the teaching aids. Did you go through that, teachers?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, general teaching aids, what we use is Blackboard, of course, chalk, softboard we have in our classes. Reader is the main source, it is a teaching aid. And we ourselves, we are also teaching aid only, right? Pictures, models of grandparents, guard and ladybugs. In the case of this particular lesson, pictures you can use models, you can use chart, flashcards. Even for grammar topics, you can use charts. Flashcards you can use, posters you can use, comic strips you can use, where you can ask the child to write dialogue on his own. You give the character, Grandpa, Farouk, Amir. You just give that comic strip. Ask them to write the dialogues. They will write. Newspapers, of course, for teaching, it is one of the best teaching aids for grammar and all. You can use newspapers and whatever words you have taught them, ask them to identify it in the newspaper. PowerPoint presentations, audios, animation videos, Activity weights includes dramatization. If it is a role play, even between the grandfather, this one Farouk and Amir, you can have a small role play, small dramatization. Ask them to write dialogues or whatever dialogues is given there in the lesson. Ask them to do it as a role play. They love to do that. Even you can make them to do a mask also. Grandpa Farouk's mask and Amir as a this one mask they can wear and they can tell the dialogues or they can deliver the dialogues. They love it. Field trips and experiments, that is also a part of an activity aid only. Online domains like Google Forms, MCQs, these are also teaching aids, of course, to test their knowledge. And please refer the handout given by me. It has, okay, can't open this file.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, and what you said about this comic strips, what do you mean by that?
Comic strips is nothing but you can see, for example, in class 2, as I told you, Grandpa Farouk's garden, you have 2 characters, right? Grandpa Farouk and Amir we have. You can draw the children to draw and you can give that bubbles, no? The children will write the dialogues.
Like clouds?
Yes, like clouds, yes. Like that also you can have the comic strips. Yes, for classes 4 and 5, you can do it in a different way also. It is up to the teacher's thing, creativity. You can ask if you want to make them to practice communicative English, this will help them. Small dialogues you can make them to write. To improve their writing skills, to improve their speaking skills, this will help you a lot. Like yes, flash comic strips you can use. Able to see my presentation. Yes. Now, experiential learning. Learning in a fun way. What is the time now? Yes. Traditional learning activities, it was actually teacher-centered, right? Here we have experiential learning, that is student-centered. We are focusing more on students. Learning outcomes are flexible. They can experience on their own. They will experiment. The experiential learning cycle is like this. It reflects experience, concept-based, and it aims to develop the knowledge and skills through experience. They learn by themselves by doing all these experiments, right? Flexible structure and minimal facilitation. See, for example, in class 4 reader, you have television chocolate room, one lesson, right? So we gave them the project like they have to make a chocolate cake. So the children, they came out with a lot of creative ideas and they also made the chocolate cake on their own. Without cooking, without fire, that type of things you can encourage them. So whatever is related with the lesson, children, they love to do that. And fruit salad and vegetable salad. In case of class 2, we have a lesson called 1 minute. Rabbit's turnip. Rabbit's turnip, it talks about the turnip. So we ask them to make even Grandpa Farouk's garden, Nani walks to the park. There are so many lessons here. We made them to do some fruit salad and vegetable salad where they can relate it with the lesson and they also know the values of eating vegetables, vegetarian food, like that. We can inculcate the habit of eating vegetarian food. With the lesson, you can link it so that they will also learn how to do it. At the same time, they will also learn about the values. Now, art integrated activities. So we are focusing on this art integrated activities. CBSE especially focuses on this, and we give say about weightage of 5 marks in the exams, especially in the term exams. We are supposed to do 2 art integrated activities in a year, term 1 and term 2. So for example, this particular lesson I have chosen from class 2 again. Draw the picture of a garden. See, when it comes to Grandpa Farouk's garden, it talks about the garden. That particular lesson focuses about the garden. So we can give the list to the children. The child can choose any one activity and he can do it. Or he can do more than one also. It is up to his choice. Okay, so we gave them the list of activities to the children, out of which the child will be choosing one particular activity and he'll be presenting it in the class. Draw the picture of a garden, you can say, or draw the picture of a ladybird and color it. So the children will love to do, no? Most of the children, they love to draw and color it. Few children, no, if they are not familiar with drawing, you can give the option of sticking the picture of a garden in a chart or in a notebook, you can give them. So again, when the child sticks the picture, you can allot him or you can give him 5 marks. And name or label the plants. Suppose if the child is very good in drawing, no, even if he is able to label the plants that you can see in the garden, that also he can do. He can name the plants. He can write the names of few plants that he is growing in his garden, no. That also you can give marks. Make clay models. Make clay models of the grandpa or of the garden or plants or insects or a ladybug, no. If he is able to do the clay model of a ladybug, you can give him marks. Read the story aloud and record it. So you can give this option also. Make the child to read the story and you can make him to record it and you can play it in the class so that other children can listen, or make the child to read it in the class also. Write a small paragraph about your grandfather. So this will make him to improve his writing skills. Again, this also comes under art integrated activity as well. Speak few words about your grandfather. That also, again, speaking skills. We are focusing on LSRW now. Role play between a grandfather and a grandson. You can tell them it need not be from the lesson. It can be a general grandfather and a dialogue between a grandfather and a grandson. If you are talking with your grandfather, what things you will speak. So you make the child to come in front of the class. So let him talk. Okay, you make 2 children to stand in front of the class. Give them this role play. You can give them some time allotment, like 2 to 5 minutes. Let them talk. So it can be a role play. For that also, you can allot marks. Plant a seed and you can ask them to measure the growth and you can ask them to bring the plant to the class. You can let them talk about the plant, why they are growing the plant, what type of plant it is, what it gives us, what fruit it bears, during which season it grows. So many things the child can talk about the plant, right? So make the child to plant a seed and make the child to talk about it also. What he did for the plant, what time he is watering the plant, how he is growing the plant. So many things the child can talk about it. So this indirectly ask him, we are making him to speak, right? We are improving his speaking skills, of course. And note the things that you did with your grandfather together and discuss it with the teacher. You can make the child to talk in front of the class as well. So you can tell them, you notice the things and what and all you are doing with your grandfather, you should come and discuss it in the class. Definitely that will be the child will love to talk about the grandparents, especially the boys, no, they love to talk about the grandfather and grandmother so much. They even tell lots of stories, no, whatever the grandparents they share with them, they come and tell it in the class as well. And you can ask them to talk about the cleanliness also. See here, Amir is helping the grandfather to clean the garden as well. So you can talk about, focus on cleanliness as well. Project Swachh Bharat, clean your room, clean your garden, clean your classrooms, clean your house, help your parents. So many things you can integrate so many activities. So this becomes a part of the experiential learning. So you allot one full week for this before the term on exam, or at least 2 to 3 periods for this, and make them to do the activities in the class. Children will love to do the activities, definitely. But the thing is, we have to create the activities and we have to give them some choice like this. No, for one particular topic, you can give 4 to 5 topics. So they let them choose on their own, whatever they are familiar with, whatever they are confident with, let them choose one particular topic and they can do it. Teachers, any doubt with regard to art integrated activity?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how we do in our school book back exercises. Generally, after we teach a lesson, we give them for classes 1 and 2, we give them opposites, meanings as well. Then we give them singular plural from the lesson. Okay. So see, for example, if we have too big, too small. So we have words like baby, babies, father, mother, like that. No, you can give them some singular plural based on from the book. You can choose and give, and present tense, past tense also related from the words from the reader from the lesson. We are giving them. Then fill in the blanks. 1 or 2 fill in the blanks you can give. Even complete the sentence also you can give. Fill in the blanks means you can have only words. Complete the sentence means you can have the phrases as well. So train them giving complete the sentences. That will help them to develop their language skills. Word meanings you can give. You can give the meaning and ask them to write the word. That also you can do. Or you give the word and ask them to write the meaning. Initially you do that, and then later on you can give the meaning and you ask them to write the word as well. Then question answers, of course. For one lesson, at least you give them minimum 3 to 4 question answers for classes 1 and 2. General question, one general question you can give where the child should answer on his own. You don't help the child. You just give them one value-based question from the lesson, ask the child to write on his own. And who said this to whom is must. Okay, one extract you have to give, 1 or 2 dialogues. For classes 1, 2, and 3, you can give even 3 to 4 dialogues and ask the child to identify who's the speaker, to whom did the speaker speak these lines, and make sentences, of course. Difficult words, 3 to 4 words you can choose from one lesson and ask them to frame sentences. For 2 words, you can help them. For the other 2 words, you ask the child to write the sentences. Okay. So now, this one I will post it in the group. You will be asked to write one teaching methodology. Okay, you can adopt your own teaching methodology or whatever you have learned from here, and you can present it, or you can even, I will send my mail ID in the group. You can send this particular activity to me, to my mail ID. Okay, so write one, you can choose one topic from the reader, and you can write the teaching methodology alone, how you are going to plan, how you are going to teach the children, only methodology, not the objectives, how you are going to teach. I want how you are going to introduce a topic, how you are going to teach with that I want. You can even include some art integrated activities, as I told you, as I showed you in the presentation. You can add 2 questions also, value based questions. And this is a must, and marks will be given for this activity, teachers. Okay, so try to make it by today or by tomorrow at least. And this one particular lesson I have chosen from class 4, a sample lesson, Before the Match by R.K. Narayan. One of you, can you read this? Karpagam ma'am, can you read this?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It is visible, but I'm using mobile now, so it's a bit small.
Oh, okay.
Let me zoom and read, ma'am.
Okay.
Before the Match by R.K. Narayan. Rajam, the captain of Malgudi Cricket Club, a newly formed cricket team in Malgudi, is nervous about the team's performance in the upcoming match against the Young Men's Union, which consists of older and more experienced players. Shall I continue, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please. Rajam believes that
Mani and he are well qualified to take on the role of the leading batsman in the team. His only worry is that Swami, the best bowler on their team, does not seem to be practicing at all before the game. Even when Rajam pleads with Swami, he is not able to make time as he has drill classes.
or scouting classes. I think the time is up now. No, teachers,
Yes, ma'am.
till 11
Yes,
o'clock
ma'am.
only. Yes. So I think teaching of prose, almost I have covered all the points, all the topics. For class 2 level, I have completed. Maybe I can continue with this class 4 level tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Along with teaching of poetry as well. So I will stop sharing this